You know what it is. You know what it is. Diddy fires back at the feds. P. Diddy has officially bust his gun back at the feds. Sit back, subscribe if you're not subscribed, like the video, do all that. You know what time it is. All right. Alright, you know what time it is. Unique Mecca audio, man. I'm here, man. Diddy bust his gun back at the feds. I'm going to break this down real nice and simple so y'all understand this. The key word in this that I want y'all to remember and recognize is retroactivity. Retroactive. You know how you say I'm going to get the retro clothes because they want to dress like Unique did back in the 90s and you know how we do. So retroactive, you already know what retro means. I'm going to tell you what retroactivity means in the law. Now, Joy Dickerson Neal, who filed a lawsuit that Diddy sex-ate her and he did revenge porn against her in 1991, right? And she's suing his affiliate companies, Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Enterprise, LLC. Now, pay attention, right? Remember, Bad Boy, Combs Enterprise. Bad Boy was started in 1992. The alleged violation against Miss Dickerson happened in 1991. So therefore, Bad Boy wasn't even in effect in 1991. Diddy also provided documentation from the New York State, companies showing that Bad Boy was established in 1992. Pay attention. The alleged incident happened in 1991. She's suing against Bad Boy, who was created in 1992, and she's suing against Combs Enterprise, LLC, which was incorporated in the year 2000. Now, what Diddy is filing is that they can't do nothing, you know what I mean, with the lawsuit because it was not retroactive, talking about the New York Survivors Act. The New York Survivors Act was not made retroactive when they enacted it. So what Diddy is going at right now, to get right to the point, I'm going to get into all the fluff and I'm going to ride a little bit, you know what I mean, and show you different examples. So what it is that she's saying that in 1991, Diddy sex-ate her and he violated the Revenge Porn Act, but that all came about with the new Survivors Act over 16 years later, 20 years later. Now, so what happened is Joy filed that Diddy drugged and S.A.'d her back in 1991 when she was in college. And he videotaped, the assault and, put it out and everybody's seen it. Joy also said she filed police reports and spent years trying to recover from the ordeal of depression and, can't sleep and, all types of things that went down. She felt like she was even suicidal. She had to drop out of college is what she said, and she spent years trying to recover from the trauma that Diddy allegedly caused her in 1991. Now, Joy said that, that's what happened. Now, so here we go. We got November 16th, 2023, right? After Cassie filed her lawsuit, that's when Joy Dickerson Neal decided to come forward with her claim because she wants justice now. Diddy filed that if everything in Joy Dickerson's lawsuit is true, which is not agreeing to, that they do not survive the claims needed and the case should be thrown out. Right? Do y'all understand that? Put in the comments if you don't. I'll do another video breaking this down a little bit more, so y'all could fully understand. Now, Diddy filed that, like I said, if everything in Joy Dickerson's lawsuit is true, it don't survive the claims needed because it was outside the statute of limitation because the crime the alleged action happened in 1991, and the New York Survivors Act was all the way in 2022. November all the way into there. Now, Sean Diddy Combs files a motion to dismiss the sex trafficking claim and the SA lawsuit, right? And that's what it is now, right? The claims was brought under the statutes that did not exist at the time the alleged misconduct occurred. That's what she's using, right? So now, the four statutes, right? The four statutes that's in effect that she's filing under now, they was not in effect back in 1991, right? After the alleged actions occurred, November 1st, 2007, 16 years after the alleged incident, is here we are that we're trying to use the New York Survivors Act. All the claims has been should be thrown out is what Diddy's saying because it was not retroactive when they made that ruling. I'm going to tell you what that ruling means in a minute, right? Now, you can't sue for something that wasn't even a crime at the time. In 1991, what they're charging Diddy with in 2024, or what they taking him to civil suit for in 2024, 2023, because she filed it, right? Now, you can't use that. I'm going to give you an example of that, right? But, let me check my notes, Now, this will be a big win for Donald Trump if Diddy wins this. And Diddy got a good chance of winning this. Any legal professor would tell you this. I got my little paralegal thing because I learned to read and write in prison and, studied the law. So I'm what they call a jailhouse lawyer. You know what I mean? Even Weinstein would get relief, from this, Maybe even R. Kelly would get relief from this. Now, I'm going to break this down so you understand, right? Let's ride. Y'all got that with Diddy? Now I'm going to bring in my situation. In my situation, I had a kingpin charge. They said that you had to violate three, what they call it, 3 predicate acts, Now, predicate acts is called the ingredients. You have a statute. So a statute is like, a statute consists of the different things that's in it. Is the same as a recipe. So we're going to use the statute as a recipe in this terminology so you understand. So you got a recipe to bake a cake and they say you need milk, flour, and eggs, and that's what you needed to bake a cake. But you bake the cake with milk, flour, and you don't use eggs, And then you bake it, it tastes good, it looks like a cake and everything is perfect. But it's not a cake because the recipe says that you have to have milk, flour, and eggs, and you didn't have no eggs in that recipe when you mix the cake. So you don't technically have a cake. And in the law, you deal with technicality because everything is precise and to the point. Now, with the statute, they charged me with a CCE. I had to have 3 predicate acts. 3 predicate acts is that I had to violate the drug laws at least 3 or more times. 3 or more times, because they called that a continuing series. It went to the Supreme Court, and they had to break down what does the word series mean in continuing. Does series mean 1 charge? Like 1 predicate, 2 predicates, or 3 predicates. We know when they have a series of baseball games, or a series of basketball games, they say it's 3 or more, and it's the best 2 out of 3 of that series. Not the best 1 out of 2 of a series because, if you win 1, then that's just a game. So if you're going to play a series of games, you got to have at least 3. So the Supreme Court ruled that series in the continuing series of the continual criminal enterprise means 3 or more drug violations. I was only charged with 1 drug violation in my case, and I was acquitted of that lone drug violation in my case. So that means that I actually didn't violate the statute of being a kingpin because they need 3 or more drug charges. It went to the Supreme Court with a dude named Richardson, Eddie Richardson out of Chicago. Big round of applause to Chicago and Eddie Richardson. All right, let's get it right. Come on, man. Can I finish ride? I want to ride, man. Let me ride. So now, right? So Eddie Richardson's case went to the Supreme Court. They used my case because it was the precedent at the time. Precedent meaning it was the first of its kind because I was the first kingpin to be locked up with no drug violations. So Eddie Richardson used my case to say that you need to have 3 drug violations based on United States, versus Theodore Edmonds at the time. Big round of applause to California and Theodore Edmonds. Y'all know Theodore out there. Tell him to hit me up. Me and him did some time too in Lump Park. Round of applause to, Big Ted, they call him. So if y'all know Big Ted out there in Cali, tell him to hit me up, man. All right? Relax, man. Let me finish the story. So now you got, a precedent. Now, my case was the precedent for the losers. United States versus Unique was the precedent for the losers. Theodore Edmonds was the precedent for the winners. So now that you had a split in the circuit, because Theodore Edmonds was out the Third Circuit, I was out the Fourth Circuit. So being that the Third Circuit said that you had to have the 3 predicate violations in order to trigger the Kingpin statute, the Fourth Circuit, where I was at, being it was trying to burn my black ass, they said that you had to have, that they didn't have to be specific or unanimous. Unanimous means all 12 jurors didn't have to agree on the same 3 predicate violations. But the Third Circuit said you did have to be unanimous and specific. So now it's a split in the circuit. When it's a split in the circuit, that's when the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land, they get involved, and then they make a ruling that these 2 circuits that split, one said that Theodore, was right, that they had to be specific and unanimous, and the Fourth Circuit in United States versus Unique said they did not have to be specific and unanimous. So the Supreme Court came in and they heard Eddie Richardson's case because Eddie Richardson used Theodore Edmonds' case for his precedent, saying that he was innocent of the CCE statute. But the government used United States versus Hall to say that they did not have to be specific. So now when it go to Supreme Court, we have Theodore Edmonds that the Supreme Court have to decide in the Third Circuit if they had to be specific and unanimous. And then you had Unique's case in the Fourth Circuit that say they did not have to be specific and unanimous. Pay attention. I'm going to get back to the Diddy situation. Right now, I'm just riding. All right? Just to give you a clear understanding. Now, so when it goes up there, the Supreme Court rules on it, and the Supreme Court says that they feel that the lower court in United States versus Unique was wrong, that the Third Circuit in Theodore Edmonds' case was right, and they overturned my case, United States versus Unique, June 1st, 1999, saying they had to be specific and unanimous. But it wasn't my docket number in front the Supreme Court, so they called that my case was overturned, pay attention, in dicta. In dicta is like, it's a short for dictation. You know what I mean? It was in wording. In wording, they overturned my case, but I wasn't legally in front of them, so I didn't have jurisdiction to hear it, so they overturned it in dicta. So now I'm celebrating. I'm coming back from ADX. I'm coming back from ADX after this ruling, and I'm on my way to Allenwood. I get over there to Oklahoma. I get to Oklahoma. Police see my name. They say, "Oh, man, congratulations, your case was overturned." I didn't know nothing about it. When I land on the compound, they tell me my case is overturned. So I said, "Oh, bet I'm going home." This all the way in 99. So I shoot my motions into the court in 2000. By the time I put it all together, said that I should be released based on Theodore Edmonds' case, said that they was wrong in the Fourth Circuit in United States versus Unique. And then the Fourth Circuit hit me back, said, "You're 100% right. Your case should be overturned." But the Supreme Court did not make it retroactive, and it wasn't your case on the docket number, so they only overturned it in dicta, meaning in writing. So we need jurisdiction. We need a jurisdictional vehicle, which is a motion to put in front of our court to give us jurisdiction, which is the right to hear your case. We don't have a jurisdictional motion to hear a case that the Supreme Court, rule on and don't rule on retroactivity yet in America. So you have to sit in prison and wait for them to say that it's retroactive. So they kept me in jail for another 26 years because they knew that would have freed a lot of kingpins, so they never even heard the case. So you could hear me. But I came out, based on the Trump First Step Act. And a round of applause to Donald Trump. Round of applause to Donald Trump. I know y'all don't like it, but I'm going to give you gunshots, for sitting there saying you don't like the man that freed me. So that's what happened. Now we're going to ride back. Now, let's ride back to Diddy. So with the Diddy situation, right, he busted his gun at the feds and said straight up, he said, hold up. They made this New York Survivors Act in 2022 and said they had till 2023, November, in order to file whatever they had on it. And, and they could go back and use any past whatever. But they did not make it retroactive. The courts never make anything retroactive just to make things more inconvenient for the lower courts, you know what I mean? And expect them to decide what's retroactive and what's not, but only the Supreme Court can make something retroactive, so you caught in a catch-22. So what Diddy is saying is that this New York Survivors Act that Joy Dickerson Neal is coming in under, that Cassie ran in and got the big bag out of him, that it don't apply to Joy Dickerson because it wasn't retroactive, that just starts from the date the New York Survivors Act was put in place in New York, which was in 2022. So anybody from 2022 forward can use the New York Survivors Act. That's what Diddy's arguing now, and that's really the law. But now, when he bust his gun at him with that, we gotta hit bust the gun. When he bust his gun at him, he said, hold up, you can't do that. You know what I mean? They didn't make the New York Survivors Act retroactive, so that don't apply to me because the crime there, the alleged action that Joy Dickerson Neal is charging me with happened all the way in 1991. And then he went at it because she's also suing his company, Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Enterprise, LLC. So now Diddy's lawyer, which get a round of applause. A lot of round of applause today. A lot of round of applause today. You know what I mean? A lot of round of applause. Now, calm down, y'all. Calm down. Now, Diddy's lawyer also said that at the time, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that at the time when the alleged incident happened with Joy Dickerson Neal, right, was in 1991, and Bad Boy didn't get created until 1992, so Bad Boy is exempt from her getting the bag out of Diddy for that. Now, also, Combs Enterprise wasn't created until the year 2000. Again, many years after the incident that happened in 1991. So that's how Diddy fired his gun back at the feds, for the rat bastards that don't understand that. But I took my time to explain it. So now for you to fully understand what this thing is looking like, right? Diddy got a damn good claim. Because I sat in jail, right? I sat in jail, and so did many of my comrades sat in jail because there was a ruling. Let's ride again a little bit. Let's ride. I'm giving y'all a little law school today. There was a ruling that took place in a case called Apprendi versus United States that came out also June 1st, 1999, the same day and year that the Supreme Court overturned my case and Eddie Richardson's case in dicta, in wording, because it wasn't my docket number in front of them. See the technical bull crap that they play? So now when Apprendi come out, let me give y'all Apprendi, because it's a good little prison story too to mix this up. I know y'all dying for Diddy to go to prison because that's how the rat bastards do it. But anyway, right? So Apprendi came out. It was a white dude in a neighborhood. A black dude moved in the neighborhood, and he shot up the house of the black dude because he didn't want no black people in the neighborhood. So they locked him up and charged him, under the statute of shooting in a dwelling. Once they charged him with the shooting of the dwelling, when they grabbed him, of course he told, and he said, yeah, I shot up the house, but I shot the house up because they sold it to a black person and we didn't want no blacks in the neighborhood. So now, when he went for sentencing, the government enhanced him a lousy 2 years. I spent that in the shoe, in the solitary confinement on my head, reading Jackie Collins books. You know what I mean? 2 years is nothing in prison. So they opened up a can of worms. For 2 years, they tried to give this white guy for shooting up a house because a black person brought it. So once they did that, right? Once they did that, the lawyer for the apprendi, he said, hold on, he wasn't charged in the indictment with a race crime, because they tried to make it a hate crime and a race crime because he stated when he was, confessing that he shot the house up because a black person was in it. So they still gave him 12 years, because if you're looking at 10 years, they gave him 2 years extra. It goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled on Apprendi June 1st, 1999, saying that you cannot enhance someone's sentence for something that wasn't in the four squares of the indictment and did not go to the grand jury. So being that it wasn't in the indictment that he shot at the house because it was blacks in there, they can't now enhance him for it being a hate crime. So that's the same thing that we used as prisoners, right? That in our indictment back then, everyone in the United States, and yes, this is one time I can say everyone in the United States that was charged with conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine or narcotics. In a conspiracy, it said that you're charged with distributing 50 grams or more. That's the only physical number they had in there. Specific number was 50 grams. But then when you go to court and then your co-defendant said, yeah, Unique gave me a car to drive, he put 3 keys in it, and I drove the car 25 times, so they say 3 times 25 is 75, so now you got 75 keys. But the indictment said 50 grams or more. And the government said the 75 keys is the or more, nigga. Take that and go lay down. You know what I mean? And that stuck for 3 decades. It still was sticking. And then here comes Donald Trump, the savior. Obama had a chance to save us, but he didn't. Not saying nothing about Obama, but just letting you know what it is. So when Donald Trump came in office, they did something called the First Step Act. That's why I was released. For you rat bastards that wonder why my beautiful, handsome, chocolate mocha black ass is home. You know what I mean? Now, Donald Trump came in and said, in the First Step Act, that if it's not charged in the indictment and they wasn't specific as to a specific drug amount, right, that they can't sentence you to it, but it's up to the judge to reopen the case, to have jurisdiction. Remember that word. The judge have jurisdiction to reopen the case and re-sentence us if we could show that we self-rehabilitated over the decades that we was locked up based on the or more. Now, being that I became a certified electrician, certified plumber, certified mechanic, certified HVAC and refrigeration, culinary arts cook with my surf safe, and I'm also an electrician, and I also took 3,500 hours of psychological training to find out why I was twisted, and I refused to put the case on my dead brother, and I refused to go to the police when they kidnapped, tied, and tortured my mother to find out where the bag was. Something is wrong with me, because it was embedded in me from the street, because that's the code that was given to me. That's why I'm telling the youth, don't get involved with the streets, because that's how serious that is. If you witness, God forbid, your best friend, your mother, your dog, your cat get gunned down, under the street code, you're not allowed to go to the police. You either handle it or you leave it alone. And I know all of y'all want to go to the police. That's what citizens is supposed to do. Not saying not supposed to, but when you say I'm in the street and I'm bout it, and I'm sliding, police don't get involved. When the police kill, when the ops kill one of your peoples, you don't go to the police and say, yo, they killed one of my peoples. What they do is they slide on the ops, because that's what happened on the street. I don't want you sliding. So that's why I don't want you in the streets. So that's where I'm at. So that these rat bastards gonna play these games that I'm promoting or pushing anything other than stay off the streets, because it's a mean street with detrimental codes. Right? You follow me? All right. So now we got that. So Donald Trump came in, and I went back and I showed him all these accomplishments that I did. And the judge said, okay, that's good enough to open your case. Let me see how they did your drug amounts and what you was actually charged with in the indictment. What I was actually charged with in the indictment is the same thing I said everyone was charged with: 50 grams or more. So the judge said, okay, we know he had 330 keys, but in your indictment that went to the grand jury only said that he had a specific amount of 50 grams. No one could determine that or more other than the grand jury, not the jury that he was tried under. And that's what got me out of jail, to give you all a good explanation of what's going on. It's the same thing. Let's ride back to Diddy. See how my legal class worked? You know, sit back. Don't I sound like a professor in college or something? Now, so check it out. So now back to Diddy. Diddy incident with Joy Dickerson Neal happened in 1991, right? Survivors Act came out in like 2022 to 2023. They gave them that year window, and she made the year window and filed it. But when they came out, they didn't say it was retroactive. So Diddy got a damn good claim. And he got enough money and power to enforce that, because they turned down thousands of us for filing for Apprendi, saying that our indictment only said 50 grams or more. All they did was tell all 100,000 of us inmates that got caught up in the war on drugs that it wasn't retroactive. It only happened from today forward. Let me give you an example. We're going to ride. You know, this is my legal class today, right? We're going to ride. There was a case called Ring versus Arizona out in Arizona. It was a dude that was on death row. While he's on death row, he's looking to get killed, but then the law came out saying that the statute that they're using to put him to death, you know, is not valid, you know. But they made that ruling on, let's say, June 1st, 1999. He got locked up May 30th, you know what I mean? 1999. Now, so what they did was they said, okay, well, that ruling only applies from June 1st, 1999, being that he committed the crime May 30th, 1999. It's not retroactive. So therefore, even though he's right and he's not supposed to be put to death, we have to kill him with lethal injection, whatever they want to call it, because his crime happened a day before the ruling and it was not retroactive. So here we have a man that they're going to take his life because he committed the crime a day or two before the ruling of the statute. Do you understand how serious this is? In other words, they're saying, all right, if he would have committed the crime today, we wouldn't kill him. But he committed the crime yesterday, so we're going to kill him. Well, he was wrong, you know what I mean? We was wrong for applying it like we did with him, you know, in May 30th, 1999. But the Supreme Court did not make it retroactive on June 1st, 1999. So, kill him. Is this crazy? And that's how it worked in the criminal sense. Now we're in the civil sense. It works the same way in the civil sense, but let's see how they're going to rule on this. Are y'all paying attention to this at all? Okay. So now I've been on here long enough. Make sure you cop the book of Roe in Harlem. You know what I mean? Pay attention to the Diddy case. I'm going to follow up more on the legal aspects of this because Diddy damn sure on point right now. And I'm letting you know now, yo, Diddy. Right? Now I'm going to reach out to Diddy. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I don't want no black man going to jail. Yo, Diddy, you know, get with me, my nigga. You know what I mean? Because what you're going through, I went through for 26 years, and I know how this whole retroactivity and the jurisdiction and everything go the same way I just broke it down. The lawyers is doing great what they're doing, but you may need a consultant, you know, to work with the lawyer to know the inside skinny of what's going on. Because just like I know these cases off the top of my head, you see, I just freestyle this. You know what I mean? Because I understand how it is. So basically, like I said, Joy Dickerson Neal said that the incident happened in 1991, and Diddy is saying that this New York Survivors Act was in 2022, 2023. So therefore, it wasn't a crime in 1991 when the alleged incident happened. Diddy even went as far as saying, even if everything she said is true, it's still outside the jurisdiction of the Survivors Act, because the Survivors Act was not retroactive. When a court make a ruling, they never tell you if something is retroactive or not, which is crazy. So all they do is the ruling goes from that day forward. Whatever happened the day before, like in the Ring versus Arizona, where they wound up, saying they're gonna kill dude because his crime happened a day before the ruling and it wasn't retroactive, is the same benefits that Diddy is looking at, saying that the alleged incident happened in 1991 and the Survivors Act was in 2022 and the Survivors Act did not make it retroactive. Y'all understand that? Put in the comments, let's get this thing going, man. And I'm done because I got to get out of here for the day. All right? Oh, again, cop the book of Roaring Harlem. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rude men.